So we have all seen the circular that was published by Bank of Uganda with guidance on now how much someone can withdraw from their bank daily, whether it's an individual account or whether it's a business account, corporate account, or what you can withdraw using a checkbook. One of the things, the driving forces, what they are communicating is that the data right now is indicative that Uganda has gone digital, that Uganda, majority of the payments right now are either through mobile banking, they are either through mobile money and Airtel money, or through internet banking where you just do an ETF or RTGS. And so it makes to them it makes absolute sense to come up with this guidance to kind of continue to force people to use the digital way of exchanging money. Now, that is the easier way, and we're going to talk about it from what they have talked about. But there are two elements for me when they were doing it, when I went through this circular, that made a little bit of more sense for me. Now, when you push people to the digital way of sharing or making payments, when you move away from cash, so let's take a step back. When I withdraw money, for example, 10 million, and I pay or from the bank, especially if I withdraw it maybe on ATM or I just go over the counter, and I make those payments, there is no way the Bank of Uganda or the financial system can track who I made payments to. They can track me as a withdrawer, but after that, that's it. They cannot know who I've made that payment to. So there is a blockage. In this day and age, you need to see where money is going. Two, if I withdraw money from the bank, and let's say I withdraw 10 million and I'm charged 10,000, and I go and I make physical payments, there is no tax. The only tax is on my only withdraw, which is 10,000. And so to the government, they don't make money post those cash transactions. However, let's flip it on the alternative. If I send money, if I receive money on my account, 10 million, and I pay 4 people, each person is 2.5 million, and I pay them through ETF, the bank I'm sending from charges me an ETF charge, 1. The receiving bank charges the person that is receiving the money. If I send it to 4 people, the bank I'm sending from charges me 4 transactions. The 4 receiving banks, counter banks, they charge the person receiving the money. That charge, whereas you might see it as a bank charge, there is a tax element, which to the government, that's some good income. 2, when I receive 10 million and I receive it digitally on the bank, in a commercial bank, it's tracked. They can know where that money came from. When I send it to certain people, they can track it, where that money is going. They would know that Kakande's account, every time it receives money, 80% of the money goes to this unit trust, to this fund manager. This one goes to this mobile money. This goes to this mobile money. It's trackable. It creates a history where they can easily know that if they need to go after you, they know where to go to, because they can see how your money moves, which is impossible on the cash transaction. So for me, those were the first indicators that, 1, if I'm in the Financial Intelligence Authority, a cash economy is hard to track. A cash economy is hard to track. It's hard to track. But when you push more people into a cashless digital cash payments, whether through mobile money, through Airtel money, through ETFs and RTGS and all those digital payments, you can track. You know the origination and the final destination of how that money can move. Right? That's 1. But 2, the tax element. Every time you make a payment digitally, we all know right now We know it's more expensive to send money on mobile money than withdrawing it and taking it to someone if you're within an Uber distance. Sometimes if you're sending someone 2 million UGX, if you send it by mobile money, it must cost you maybe around 30,000 UGX. Yet the same amount of money, if you have to withdraw it on ATM, it might be withdraw might be 2,000, and you get on a border 3,000, and that's the cost. Total cost is 5k. So the cost of cashless is cheaper, but long term, it's not the solution that the bank would want. I want to track where this money comes and goes. That's one. The second element is when we talk about broad money supply, M2, we are talking about money in circulation. We are talking about cash. So you should be in position to track how much cash is in how much money, paper money is in circulation. But two, and most importantly, how much money is on mobile money, on Airtel money, is near-term equivalent of cash people can spend in buying and selling, in buying things. Digital money, when it's on mobile money or on checking accounts, which is the savings account, which you can easily swipe cards for, and people need to adopt to Visa payments, that you can track, and you make money on such payments. Every time someone makes a payment by making a payment using mobile money or Airtel money or these other different digital payment methods, the aggregator, which is Bank of Uganda, makes money, the different banks makes money, and the tax element for it, the government makes taxes on it. On the cash side of that, they do not make any money. So the ease of doing business by making sure you pay digitally comes with a tax element, comes with a tracking element, but it also comes with the tracking how much money, M2, broad money supply, is in circulation. 3, which is also something, and these are my hypotheticals on what might have driven, also part of the other reasons that might have driven this, is the cost of printing. Now, the cost of printing money is not cheap. It's not confirmed. If you watch this video and it's confirmed, you let me know. It's not fully confirmed that Bank of Uganda prints money now in Uganda. The last information I had is they used to print money outside Uganda. And the times when maybe a plane lands with the paper, you could see so much on Entebbe Road, the sirens could swing. It was hard to move it from Entebbe Airport to Bank of Uganda. You could see those balloons of cash being transferred. So when you push people to the digital side of it, you reduce the cost of printing money every now and then. That is a good thing from an economic perspective. And maybe this was one of those reasons that guided them to move to printing, to making this movement. Now, will this impact many people? Absolutely not. 90% of the people, we don't even have more than 5 million on our bank accounts. So let's not fuss about it. 90% of the people, if not 95%. 95% of the people have never held even 10 million in one single go in cash. So for you okay, you are spared. You know? The policy says you cannot, for individual accounts, you can't withdraw more than 50 million. For corporate accounts, not more than 250 million. Now, corporate accounts, if you're a company, even if you make payments to people in cash, they are moving you to make payments by mobile money. Because why? The adoptions of SIM cards right now is almost at 95% of the adult population, which you would expect are the ones who are in the scope of the financial system. So, but 250 million is still a lot of money to withdraw in cash in a single day. Because remember, they're not saying that's the maximum you can withdraw a year or in a week. This is in a single day. Right? And they have left room for, in case of exceptions, the commercial banks can seek those exceptions from Bank of Uganda. In what circumstances would you have exceptions? people who deal with forex bureaus, they would sometimes want to have a lot of cash because they transact in a near cash business. But for the majority of the people, let's not even create any fuss about this because it's out of scope. Two, if you always withdraw just 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, maximum a million, nothing has changed for you. Okay, you will withdraw that money and you continue going that way. However, this move is one of the, I sometimes believe it's one of those first moves before they become more aggressive in pushing people to go digital. On the check side of it, how many of us have seen even have checks? Very few of us do have checks. Very few. I've been in the financial system. I opened my bank account in 2010. I've never asked for a checkbook, right? Now there are institutions for them who operate in checks and issuing and receiving checks. Of course, for them they will go. They might be impacted, but even those, they are very few, because even right now when you want to make a payment, you can do a payment to a person, to another company, through so many other avenues, right? The last time I think I held a check was called, we used to call them bankers' checks when we used to pay school fees in high school. I don't even think that was even a check, because you go to the money, deposit it on a bank, and they gave you what they call the banker's check, and you take it to your school as the proof of payment. So the check will not even impact people. But for the few that are being impacted, you have to look at it. Is this a good move? Yes, the cost of sending and receiving money digitally is more expensive. But at least for the majority of the people, they have adopted to mobile money. They have adopted to Airtel money. We have not so much adopted to other, even right now making payments. Think about it. How many of us right now, when we are to go to buy fuel on petrol stations, now pay using mobile money or Airtel money? Very many. It's no longer, very few. And the adoption is getting better and better. Right? So as we move to the digital, there are certain political side of it why they are pushing for this. But the economics also dictate that the future is digital. The future is digital money. So they would want that embedded into the people. Now the policy is not, there is still so much room. There is still so much room. Because when you think about it, for individual accounts, daily cash withdraw 50 million. How many people withdraw 50 million in one single day? Sometimes those are politicians, and for me as a Ugandan, I might even actually be happier with such a policy. One of the reasons for the former speaker, some of the information that came out when they were doing the parliamentary exhibition, allegedly, is that these people could withdraw hundreds of millions every single day. Now, you put such limits, you might have a way to curb corruption at such a grand scale. Now, some of these rules might not impact them because sometimes such people are too powerful to influence decisions and get exceptions to the rules. But you might look at it that way and you might feel a little bit much better. Corporate accounts, 250 million. Weekly withdraw, 500 million for an individual account. How many individuals in Uganda do you know have 500 million? Oh, how many people do you know in Uganda withdraw 500 million? There are things we should not even fuss about. That by the time it impacts you, it will be too late. The rules would have even changed by then. You'd have figured it out. To withdraw 500 million in a single week, what are you using that money for? Who are you going to pay for? I remember I used to work for an organization. I don't know. Yeah, you can mention it. Research Triangle International. It used to fund some of the non-communicable diseases at the time. We used to do monitoring and evaluation, and we used to pay the VHTs, village health team workers, in cash every single day, 10,000. So they could send you deep in the village where you're going to deal with, let's say, 100 VHTs. And they're going to be working for 3 days a week. and you are there for a full month. And before you know it, you have to go with like 20 million. But even that was a lot of money. And you had to withdraw 2 million every single day, and you go paying the VHTs. But you withdraw 2 million, and you get a security person to move with you, and you give them a 50k for the day, because it was a lot of money to move with the cash, because you are paying them 10k, so you get it either in 5,000 or in 10,000. It was a lot. You withdraw 10 million. The people are my colleagues back in the days. They know. You go, they send you to a big district. Like one time I was in Busheng. Then one time I was in Fort Portal. You know, actually, this Fort Portal experience was so good because I think I moved to the field with close to 70 million to be paid and you have to pay that 70 million in a space of like 4 weeks. But every week you withdraw 10 million and you feel like you might cause inflation in the district. Even such extent would not be impacted by this move. But yet right now I know VHTs are paid on mobile money. Actually, you just make them sign, you get all their numbers, send them to headquarters. The headquarters, they click in one single click, they receive all their payments on mobile money. That's how the world has moved. So this policy, which is, it helps, it has so much good positions. The options I started with are also on the table to give you perspective on why they are or they might be doing this.